Hi, you've clicked on to today's tropical tidbit for Monday. Over here in the Atlantic, Invest 94L continues to churn away over here in the Northwest Caribbean. Notice that there are now two main convective areas with it, one to the east of the center over here and one to the west of the center, being enhanced by upper divergence on the eastern side of this upper trough over the southwest Gulf of Mexico. The low-level center is right here in between the two. If we zoom in on this, you can kind of see the rotation right over here as the sunlight visible images start to come in. Just south-southwest of Grand Cayman over here, still a broad low-level center. There was speculation that the mid-level center would work its way to the surface over here last night, but the surface center was too well defined yesterday to be easily replaced. So although it is elongated in this direction, you can see the surface winds are still out of the southwest all the way over here. The center is still back here, and it's moving very slowly towards the northwest this morning, if it's barely moving at all. Very, very slow movement. If we look at the water vapor imagery, you can see that the Northwest Caribbean is starting to moisten up a little bit more over here. This upper trough over the West Gulf of Mexico is going to be the biggest influence on this system for the next few days, as it's starting to increase wind shear a little bit out of the southwest here, and that's going to be the main obstacle in 94L's way of trying to develop. This is the buoy that the center of 94L passed just north of last night, and during the diurnal cycles, it's overall trending downward here in the pressure. It bottomed out a few hours ago at about 1006 millibars even down here. So the pressures are lowering. If the low center stays near that location today, we'll have a great fix on the pressure and see if it's actually continuing to lower at the center of the system during the rest of today, which will be a key to see whether it's actually starting to organize. This is the upper level sounding from Grand Cayman that's showing the relative humidity with height. You can see that the depth of the moisture layer has been increasing slowly over the last couple of days. Most recently, last night, it's starting to increase a little bit more. As I showed you on the water vapor, it's getting more moist in here. We now have it fairly moist up to 500 millibars. Not quite ideal, but it is more conducive than it was yesterday and the day before that. So the moisture layer is getting deeper in here, allowing thunderstorms to start to go off a little bit more. But again, this upper trough over here west of the Yucatan is starting to become an issue, bringing upper winds out of the southwest, starting to shear the system more in here. The low-level centers in here, you can see the upper anticyclone getting squished a little down here. Wind shear is increasing markedly over the northwest Caribbean. CIMSS analysis here showing above 40 knots just northwest of the system's center. Since the low-level center is not really moving around very much, what we can do is we can subtract the easterlies and northeasterlies at the surface coming around the north side of the system. So in reality, the true vertical wind shear over the system relative to the storm center's motion is really only 20 knots in here, but that will be on the increase during the next couple of days, especially after 36 to 48 hours, and that will be impeding the system greatly as it tries to come northward eventually with time. This is the steering currents right now. You can see this upper level and deep layer, rather, high pressure system over the southern United States right now, blocking any movement into the Gulf of Mexico currently. This upper trough over the western Atlantic is starting to scoot off to the east slowly with time here. It's not pulling this northeast with it. So really the system down here has really nowhere to go right now, and so it's going to be sitting down here in the northwest Caribbean for a while, probably the next 2 to 3 days, and by 3 to 4 days it will start to make a slight move to the north here, because as you can see on the European ensembles, by day 4, the ridge shifts east a little bit here. Now you can see that between these two ridges in here, there's a little bit of an alley opening up into the Gulf of Mexico here, and that should allow this system to slowly drift northward or north-northeastward towards Florida or the eastern Gulf of Mexico. And what this means is that one way or another, Florida's probably going to get their rain, hopefully at least some, out of this system as it comes north. Again, we'll be getting sheared off, so most of the rainfall will be east of it, which means even if it comes up here, Florida will be in a good position to get most of that rain since it will be east of the center, and hopefully the baroclinic instability as it comes north will be enough to unleash some water in here out of the atmosphere, because tropically it's not going to be able to do a whole lot beneath that jet stream, as it'll be shearing it off and not allowing thunderstorms to develop very well. So overall, we still have a broad system that is trying to develop very, very slowly. It's still got a few days left in here. Wind shear is picking up. The upper level environment is not quite ideal. The overall look of this system does remind me of a few tropical depressions I've seen in the Caribbean, or rather the invests that were close to becoming tropical depressions that eventually did. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to become one. because again, with this upper trough in here, I'm a little bit hesitant to give this a whole lot of a chance to develop in here. Model support is again slim to none for this to actually develop, but it has been slightly more organized than the models have been forecasting, so there's still a chance down here. Again, low pressure sitting in here, especially with convection starting to go off in the Caribbean, always has to be watched. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. Either way, this broad area of tropical moisture in 3 to 4 days by later this week will eventually be drawn northward, and the southeast Gulf of Mexico may very well get some drought relief, which is some good news. Other than that, flash flooding may occur in some of these areas of the northwest Caribbean that get the heaviest thunderstorms. So folks will have to watch out for that down in these countries. But there may be some good news coming from this system, which is rare for the hurricane season, but drought relief is something that hurricanes and tropical storms and just tropical disturbances even can help with. So this will be looked forward to greatly in Florida, and we'll continue to monitor this over the next few days. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.